Welcome back, legends. I hope you're all amazing. On today's video, we're taking a look at 5 of my favorite Chorii of all time. We are focusing on chorus pedals, mostly vintage examples that I am lucky enough to have my hands on at the moment. There will be a few modern alternatives in there though. So let's fire up some really pristine cleans and some really nasty dirt sounds, and we will hear some of these pedals. Let's start with what a lot of people would consider the be-all and end-all for chorus pedals, the mighty Boss CE1. I'm lucky enough to have an original version here. It is a big pedal. It is pretty old. It is pretty finicky. You know, the preamp on these, they kind of break up really easily, and it doesn't really do stereo. It does wet dry on here. I'm going to let you hear it in front of a pair of dirty amps to get started, just so you can hear that magic wet dry effect. Basically, this sounds like late 70s Rush to me. As much as I love the tone of the original CE1, it's pretty cumbersome. It's a big pedal, it's noisy. You do need a buffer before it, otherwise you experience a lot of tone suck. I would probably say if you want that sound, go and grab the Boss CE2 Wazacraft. The CE1 mode on that sounds fantastic. Or something like the Past Effects Chorus Ensemble. Not only does this pedal get the aesthetic right, it's got the tone in there. You've got the preamp. I think it sounds a lot better than my real CE1 in that regard. And you can power it off a typical pedal power supply. And it's also made here in Australia. It is also a lot more compact and pedalboard friendly. They even make a smaller version of this as well. And they're pretty well priced, especially compared to the price of an original CE1 now. Next up, the TC Electronic SCF Plus. This has a pitch modulation and a flanger mode on it. We will just focus on the chorus. This one I tend to like for the more subtle chorus sounds, the sort of thing that when you've got it on, you don't necessarily know you've got a chorus on, but when you turn it off, you really miss it. So let's check it out. The great thing about this unit is it has a lot of headroom, so it can handle line level signals and signals from your effects loop. I've got it post gain now, and I kind of like these spatial expander style settings for this, where you keep the speed quite low and you bring the width and the intensity up. This is just going to make your guitar sound wider and meaner. Next up, the Analog Man Mini Chorus. This is probably the newest pedal on this list that I've compiled, but it's very much a modern classic. It is based on an Electro-Harmonix chorus, and it's kind of one of the few clones where you can say they really improved upon the original design. It is quieter. This version has the optional blend control and the three-way switch on there as well. But in general, this just gives you glorious, gooey analog chorus. It is a much more pronounced effect. So this one, you definitely know you've got a chorus pedal on with this, which I really, really like. Check it out. almost get some flanger style tones and some univibe style tones out of this pedal. It's just really, really enjoyable to play, and like everything Analog Man, it is incredibly well built, and it's kind of cool that Analog Mike has taken these classic designs and refashioned them for the 21st century so that we can all enjoy them. The Boss Dimension C DC2, this one is very different to all the other pedals on here. There's no knobs. You just have a bunch of buttons to select between 4 different so-called dimension modes. Boss essentially tried to take the Roland Dimension rack mount unit and cram it into a compact pedal. In doing so, they had to make some little compromises, but kind of made this a unique thing in its own. One thing with this pedal, there's not a lot of headroom on it, so when you run it post gain, you kind of have to pat it down and then boost it back up, which I will do in just a little bit. But I'll just let you hear the 4 modes in here. This is kind of similar to the TC, where I feel like it just gives you that subtle enhancer effect. You definitely know there's some modulation going on there, but after a while, you stop hearing it and you only really notice the effect when you turn it off. I find I really miss it once I get used to this kind of lovely widening sensation. This is one pedal where I pretty much think the reissue is superior in a few ways. You've got all the usual Dimension C modes, but you have the SDD modes, the rack unit in there, and the ability to engage multiple buttons on there. Furthermore, the Wazacraft version of this pedal, the reissue that I'm talking about, has stereo inputs as well if you want to run it on a stereo board. It's also got a lot more headroom on there as well. But the Dimension C, it's just one of those pedals. When you hear it for the first time, when you play it, kind of feels like magic, and you wonder how you've lived without that effect in your life before. I may be stretching the rules a little bit here because the Electric Mistress by Electro Harmonix is technically a flanger. There is a color control on here which allows you to add feedback, and generally most flangers have shorter delay times than most chorus pedals. But if I turn the color down to 0, I turn the rate up past about noon, I turn the range down a little bit, this one sounds like a fantastic chorus, and a lot of classic chorus tones are actually the Electric Mistress. I feel like I can include it here. Whatever it is, it sounds absolutely stunning in my opinion. Analog Man chorus that we heard earlier is based off an electro harmonics chorus, and you can kind of hear a little bit of the same DNA in there. This one's cool, again, because almost conversely to the way the TC chorus was very subtle and you kind of didn't even notice you had a chorus on. You know there's something on this, but it also doesn't sound like any other chorus you've heard before. And some of you will say, well, yeah, Leon, because it's a flanger. But I personally think it is those really short delay times in there. And, you know, this particular pedal really, really is what most people think about the sound of when they think of the word analog modulation pedal. That was 3 words, but when you think analog modulation pedal, I think of this kind of chewy electro harmonics thing that the Electric Mistress has in spades. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed the wonderful modulation tones on offer here, and hopefully I was able to demonstrate that each pedal here really brings its own thing to the chorus game. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and feel free to let me know your favorite chorus pedal. Or if you're not into chorus pedals and you like rack chorii, let me know about those as well, because I really want to do a video about rack chorus units as well. If you want to support what I do here on the channel, there's links to my Patreon and the music that I make in the video description. And I hope you all have a fantastic day. Thanks for watching.